This is Whisper from History, where forgotten voices rise again. Friends, today's story is about a genius who could not hear sound himself, yet he gave the gift of hearing to countless people trapped in silence. Stay with us till the end and discover the extraordinary story of this man. In the closing years of the 19th century, when America was racing forward with electricity, machines, and dreams of progress, one man stood apart. He could not hear the hum of the new era, nor the crackling applause of crowds. But he was determined to make his voice silent, as it was impossible to ignore. His name was Miller Reese Hutchison, a young inventor born in Alabama, who carried with him both a burden and a vision. From his earliest days, sound was a mystery. Born in 1876, Hutchison grew up in an America divided between Reconstruction struggles and industrial ambition. The world around him roared with the noise of factories, railroads, and speeches about destiny. But to him, silence was constant. Unlike many children of his time, he did not accept this as fate. He believed that silence could be fought with science. In college, he began to study electrical engineering, a new field bursting with possibilities. He focused not on the glamour of electricity, not on the giant power grids being dreamed up by men like Edison, but on something deeply human, restoring hearing to the deaf. Using crude batteries, wires, and a small receiver, he developed one of the very first practical electric hearing aids. It was bulky, yes, requiring a case slung over the body. But for those who had lived in total silence, it was a miracle. The device became known as the Akouphone. For the first time, a deaf child could hear a mother's voice. An old man, shut away in isolation, could hear laughter again. But such invention did not go unnoticed. By the early 1900s, Thomas Edison had become a living legend. His name was printed in every newspaper, his fame soaring as the Wizard of Menlo Park. Yet here was a young Southern engineer creating devices that rivaled Edison's laboratories. Hutchison's hearing aid was not simply useful, it was revolutionary, and it challenged the very idea that Edison alone defined American invention. The rivalry grew sharper when Hutchison moved north. He carried his new patents into the industrial centers of America, setting up laboratories and demonstrating his designs. Not only hearing aids, but also improved batteries, signal systems, and communication devices began to flow from his mind. In time, he attracted the attention of financiers and businessmen who were eager to invest in someone other than Edison. For Edison, who had fought bitter battles against rivals like Nikola Tesla and George Westinghouse, this was another threat. Hutchison's work was bold in another way. He was not content to make things only for profit or for spectacle. He believed inventions should serve those forgotten by society, the deaf, the disabled, the voiceless. That mission gave him a different kind of credibility, a moral edge. His reputation as the benefactor of the deaf spread quickly, especially in schools and hospitals. Families who had felt cursed with silence now saw hope. For Edison, the master showman of progress, such competition was dangerous. The confrontation between Edison and Hutchison was not fought in dramatic duels or shouted debates. It was a quieter war: patents, contracts, and headlines. Edison's empire tried to overshadow Hutchison, to absorb or diminish his work. But Hutchison pressed on, refusing to step back. He even earned the nickname Edison Jr., not because he worked under the older man, but because he rivaled him so fiercely. For some, the comparison was flattering. For others, it was an insult meant to remind him of his place beneath the towering Wizard of Menlo Park. Despite the resistance, Hutchison's inventions thrived. The Akouphone evolved, becoming lighter and more practical. Later versions shrank into devices that could be carried discreetly, laying the groundwork for every modern hearing aid we know today. Millions of people across the 20th century would owe their first real experience of sound to the path Hutchison had cleared. And he did not stop there. He worked on rechargeable batteries, submarine signal devices, and electrical improvements that spread into transportation and communication. But while his genius was undeniable, history proved cruel. Edison's name became immortal, etched into textbooks and monuments, while Hutchison faded from popular memory. His contributions were overshadowed, as so often happens to those who fight giants. Yet in the silence left behind, his story remains powerful. He was not just an inventor, he was a man who lived in silence, but gave others the gift of sound. He was not just a challenger to Edison, he was proof that American innovation was never the work of one man, but of many, often forgotten, who dared to believe that progress must serve humanity, not just fame. Today, when a child puts on a hearing aid and smiles at the sound of their first word, the echo of Hutchison's dream lives on. He may not have won the fame of Edison, but he achieved something far greater. He restored connection, dignity, and hope. In the grand theater of American invention, Miller Reese Hutchison stands as a reminder that the truest revolutions begin not in the search for glory, but in the search for humanity. Hutchison may have been forgotten in the pages of history, but he gave humanity the gift of sound. That is his true legacy, one that can never be erased. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to subscribe to our channel, Whisper from History, and don't miss our new series Forgotten Genius.